So here we are, back for a bit of Wargame Red Dragon. I thought I'd do something a bit different and watch a replay of a recent game I was playing. So as you can see, we're just getting started. It's the deployment phase. I'm playing with Pact. I mean, there's my forward operating base. And I've said I'm going to take Lima and Bravo. My allies, the mobilized Panda is going for the C sector on this side. And currently I think there's a debate about to rage in the team over who's going to take this flank. It's a bit of an interesting game. Things go back and forth a bit, and it also highlights the discussion about people leaving and things like that. So yeah, Heisenberg says he's going to go there in the end, after much discussion. Here we go. So they're going to go along here. He's going to go for Foxtrot. All well and good. Can fast forward a little bit. What I've got is I've just got some infantry forces hidden amongst all this, which are going to head to position infantry here and here. Infantry command and just general infantry. I think that's my fighter craft, which is probably going to get shot down. Oh no, I managed not to send it in too early. So as you can see, it's the normal. We can slow it down a bit. It's a normal helicopter rush towards the centre. And it looks like we're going to win it this time, which is good. But they're going to take Echo. Yeah, so you see, Mayata's got his guys forwards. And Heisenberg's got helicopters here but hasn't captured the sector yet. My guys are just about to get to Bravo and they've got into Lima. I just put some guys in the town. This is my Soviet deck. So it's got some pretty good units, but the availability is a bit worse than the decks I normally play with. So mobilized Panda's done quite well. He's already getting his ships out. The other guy hasn't sent any ships. So I think he should be able to take the position. And Alpha. It's a points game, and currently we're losing because we lost a plane, that bomber which went in earlier. But the forces I've sent are okay, so I've sent some anti-air, ATGM, and a command. Because these sectors are unlikely to just be attacked directly, generally you have a bit of time to secure them. I've also put a recon here. And I have got my own fighter craft, which I'm trying to use effectively, but we'll soon see what happens with that. So as you can see, what happens with the islands is normally people put their recon units or infantry onto the island and use that as a sort of staging ground to spot the enemy fleet and position some anti-air weapons. So they've both got, well, this guy's putting down recon, he's got some Spetsnaz. And a similar event should be, actually this helicopter doesn't have anyone on it. But it might have been going to happen. One thing which a lot of people do is actually not to put that much in the sectors they capture, like this guy's just put a command. And you can do that if you're confident of your offense. I tend to like to go for slightly more conservative groupings with at least a few guys protecting my commands. See, I might be in trouble. I think this Eurofighter Typhoon takes out my fighter craft here. Yeah. I shouldn't have sent that in. What I was trying to do, I saw that attack and assumed that it was very important that I take down this helicopter for some reason. But in the end, it's pointless. So now we're down a few more points. But fighting elsewhere has yielded us some points in itself. So this guy does a little bit of an attack using those infamous anti-air infantry vehicles which the North Koreans have. I didn't get to see this when I played, so it's interesting to see. A lot of infantry. Should be able to overwhelm the position. And this sector's fairly secure. I think I added, what did I send? Oh, my stuff hasn't arrived yet, I think. I did send some reinforcements. So we've got the normal town fighting here. Now Delta Force is superior, but the numbers here are quite high. That napalm's probably going to finish them off though. So net we are losing. But it's good to try and attack. I'm using my, I think at this point I was using my helicopter to try and pick off some vehicles here, and then they sent in this anti-air helicopter, which gets taken out I think. Yeah. Then I send him back in. Let's see if that happens. Yeah. All well and good. So this attack's been thwarted, and still no one's actually positioned anything in November. which is a worrying development. It's because, as you saw early on, everyone was very keen to put stuff out on the right-hand side, but no one put anything down on the left from this perspective. Now I'm putting some anti-air out, just because the enemy do use a lot of planes. And you can see I've positioned some radar units a bit deeper, radar anti-air, and forwards I've positioned some infrared anti-air. So it's decent anti-air coverage, I think. So on this side, it looks like the Allied fleet is just like sailing out with no opposition. I guess it's just because Heisenberg didn't think it was really his responsibility, which is fair enough. Now I think at this point I've started to send a few infantry units forward with some recon. I don't know how long it will be before I actually put much in November. It's interesting to watch a game with both perspectives available. I can speed it up a bit at the moment, not much is happening. So we've finally got some of our ships coming out on this side. Well, just one. But we've got some anti-air getting forward just in time to stop this little helicopter force, though they apparently were unloaded. There we go, they're down. Just buying us a bit of time to get some guys forwards. I don't know why my Arthur didn't put a command in this sector. I don't think he does for a very long time, if he does at all, during the whole game. But I guess he didn't feel it was secure. So at sea we're just getting overwhelmed here, because we've just got one tiny like coastal boat engaging a fairly large Allied force. Pretty problematic. And because we don't control the area where our ships come on, they can be taken off as they come on, which causes a lot. Oh yeah. So here's where that happens. So these guys start coming in one at a time, but they have to engage quite a few enemy ships. They're doing okay. They aren't aware that more are coming, I suppose, is the issue. There goes one. So I've positioned some recon just in case we lose our eyes on when all the ships go down. So we'll lose ourselves a lot of points on this flank now. It might be better just to not try and engage them. I'm sending in one plane to try and help. I think I managed to take out a Pegasus at some point. Damaged it but didn't take it out. The anti-ship planes are fairly expensive. So we look back over here. These sectors are getting more secure. We've got some more units here. I put a bit more infantry in this town just to secure it a little bit better. And over here our fleet's doing okay. Although eventually this force becomes a bit exposed to the enemy aircraft. And it's quite hard to cover it, since our aircraft have to come from all the way up here on the top right. So this guy continues to send his ships on, but they're getting picked off. Which is not ideal. Generally the Soviet ships compare quite well, but because there's just not that many of them, it's not working out too well, I think. Or because there's a lot of defense. I think I'm sending in 2 planes this time. Let's see if we manage to get a hit. Oh, no hits for us. These ships continue to be pounded away at, struggling to defend themselves. Meanwhile, I'm starting to put some anti-air out, because I'm concerned. As you saw, there was a Eurofighter which flew over, and it'll probably come over again quite soon. And to send in my anti-ship planes, they can't have any anti-air defense. Meanwhile, on this side, see, they're using their fighter craft to defend. It's a difficult engagement. This will stalemate on land, even though we haven't actually bothered to catch a Foxtrot. So I send in some planes again. There goes another one of our ships. Sadly, we're not having a full impact on them, because they're so well clustered they manage to shoot down quite a lot of the missiles when they're coming in. I'm limited to sending in my anti-ship planes only when this Eurofighter isn't covering them. So yeah, this fleet's been defeated again. I'm rapidly trying to get more guys on as well. So is this guy. So he sends in the ships, wipes them out. There you go, we're in quite a lot of trouble. So on this island, the Allies have most of the island itself, and yeah, the Allied anti-ship planes devastate. So mobilised Panda is having a lot of trouble, and he's concerned about the situation over here, where we've lost, basically. And there's a team discussion with the usual recriminations, but end of the day, it comes down to just the fact that we've lost this battle and we can't bring on enough ships to drive this force back. So we've completely lost this ocean on this side. And actually things are starting to turn bad here, because they can keep sending in the anti-ship planes and just take out the ships one by one. Of course, we could have captured Foxtrot and held it at any point, but we never get around to doing it. So this helicopter just gets to fly over, because I haven't got enough anti-air defense, so I start putting some on. At the end of the day, I just take it out with the anti-ship plane, because it has anti-air capability as well. Now with control of the sea, they can demonstrate the effectiveness of ships against land positions, and I think they will fairly soon. We'll keep an eye out for that. So they're artillerying this position, but not to a huge impact. Most of the stuff which is lost can be replaced. It's a pity we aren't holding the position with a command, but it can't be helped. On this side, the ships are doing okay, sent in even more, which is good, I suppose. Yeah, so these ships will start, yeah, they're testing the waters by sending one forward first. And I was watching this, but there wasn't really much I could do about it, especially with the Eurofighter flying over. If I brought on ships, they'd easily be destroyed by these guys. Even if I brought on lots, they'd still only come on one at a time. And so mainly I'm just concentrating on getting some air defense up. And then what I'll try and do is take them out with the anti-ship planes, was my thinking. So he's put up a lot of defense, but thing is, when the anti-ship planes come in, that many of them, the Allies can easily take out a lot of our ships. Over here, their massive fleet is slowly edging closer and closer to our spawn point here. The problem with this position is that if the enemy capture it, obviously they'll be able to bring men on. The battle's continuing here with this annoying infantry force, but our Allies are handling it quite well. Fight's pretty much stalemate in land. We're losing on that flank and we're winning on the other flank. So they're bringing in their ships, and these will just start killing everything coming down this road pretty easily. I use send some planes, they take out a few ships. Each wave takes out maybe 2 ships. But we're in quite a bit of trouble, and they're just picking off loads of my units here. Or rather they will. Now, sadly the missiles on these guys do quite minimal damage, but they do hurt the ships. Our attempts to get some helicopters out failed because they got picked off as they tried to come on out of here, which wasn't ideal. Managed to take out one more enemy ship. Things are getting pretty bad. Obviously I'm indicating that we're going to lose the sector. All we've got left is a bit of anti-air. We can't really bring anything on because it'll be taken out by the ships right away. So we're in a bit of trouble there. try and take out my fighter there, but manages to escape. Yeah, so they come even closer, pick off a few more of our anti-air units. I tried to escape that Strela at a really bad moment. Don't even take down this Puma. So currently things are going badly. Although our score's sort of still okay. Because we did take out some of the ships on the way in, and these guys aren't too expensive. So the last shield can manage to take out one of them, but then the inevitable barrage comes to wipe them out my anti-air. Now the guy tries a bit of artillery fire, which can work against ships, but doesn't do a huge amount of damage. This particular Lafayette is badly damaged, however, so he may have been trying to just pick it off with a lucky hit. So this guy's pulled in his ships to point-blank range, which is pretty risky. But he is going for it. Which is a brave move. There come the anti-ship, yep. Inevitably. And meanwhile they're positioning to take over this sector, and this means they can bring on their forces in Oscar. Now I have noted this, and I do produce a response eventually, but I don't think I've started up yet. Oh no, maybe I have. Oh, not yet. Got plenty of artillery firing, but really it's not going to stop them. So this guy's coming on with a command. There's really not much we can do, stuff has to come all the way from over here to get to there. This is a fairly typical arrangement. But this much Delta force is easily going to overwhelm the forces I have got in the town, unfortunately. Last man anti-air taken out there. So they got a command here. Luckily we can see this guy, and so we know that they've got a command over here. And eventually the artillery will be used to take it out. So these guys come in and they do sweep into my limited defences quite easily. But since this position is about to be outflanked from behind, I'm already considering moving stuff somewhere else. See, at this point I decided that the critical position will be here, where we can defend these two towns. Because I've given up trying to retake this, and I'm pretty confident we're going to lose November as well. It's too hard to supply it without this exposure, and we'll be surrounded on both sides. My guys put up a decent enough fight though. Spetsnaz are reasonably good. And they are armed with napalm weapons if the enemy gets too close. So yeah, so we're marking their, we saw this command capture the sector. You see they're bringing on lots of units now. I'm in quite a bit of trouble here. But all this is buying us a bit of time. So they managed to bring on another command before the infantry one expired, and so they're able to keep hold of the sector. Which is unfortunate. So we speed it up a little. Over here that fleet excursion is nearing the end of its tether, getting a bit too close. Gradually being taken out. So he's almost dead. Expensive ship. And eventually I think we lose all three of these ships. There goes one. So mobilised Panda at this point is getting very angry and criticising the team, I think. And I suppose it's fair enough, we're losing pretty badly at this point. Not in terms of points, but we're losing a lot of territory. We're in a bad position. We never actually captured this sector despite controlling it, I think, the entire game. So we've been outflanked. So we start to pull some stuff towards this forest. Well, I put this anti-air here and they start bringing some infantry. Heisenberg brings the infantry in. So they're slowly wiping out all our commands in this sector, having killed the other stuff. But then one of their guys leaves. I think he was the one in the middle sector. Middle right, yeah. So it doesn't, I don't think it has a huge impact on the game. As you can see, the enemy are moving out. The initial push, I think, comes straight through this forest. But in the meantime, I've managed to position a decent stalling force here. A bit of anti-air, some ATGM, my Spetsnaz units. It's a mistake by me, though, to use the Spetsnaz, because the napalm weaponry actually isn't any good against tanks, as will be demonstrated later. But for now, it's enough to stall the enemy if they did push through. Luckily, they aren't doing it yet. And in the meantime, Heisenberg has managed to position a decent stalling force in the forest. And the artillery can have a decent impact as well here, because we can see where the enemy is. So this is a seed aircraft. It's going to take out radar unit here with a missile, if you watch. Well, it did take one out, but it was too quick for you to see, unfortunately. And we lose another bomber as it comes in. At this point, my Strela's run out of ammo. And this is quite a large force coming towards us. Luckily, we have got a huge amount of artillery prepared to fire at them. But it is quite a lot. They haven't got a huge amount of air defense, and I think our team does take advantage of that over time. So British Fusiliers and Warriors. The Warriors aren't bad, they have like an autocannon weapon. Take a look. It's reasonably versatile, not very expensive. They fire a barrage at our artillery here. They'll be standing still a little too long, I think. Oh no, they get away this time. Maybe they were caught earlier. Yeah, maybe they were caught earlier. So luckily this stalling force does slow down the enemy attack. And the whole time they're preparing this and building up this big force back here, I'm able to slowly reinforce this section here. Got a few helicopters with ATGM and some missiles, and some radar anti-air repositioned. And I've added a bit of depth of infrared anti-air here as well. So at the moment things are going okay. I haven't actually done too much, only got 1,500 points. Oh yeah, I used a bomber there to hit a load of warriors. It did work quite well, but they're not worth much points, and because they're not carrying infantry, it's not really that worth it. But it slows them down, and that's the main problem, because that's the main point, because if they manage to get through here, it'll be a huge problem, because what's actually defending us at the moment is fairly limited. I mean, these T-80s just arrived, but behind that, we just got some anti-air, one ATGM, basically nothing. And they also take out all our artillery if they manage to break through. So it's very important that we hold it. Also, they've flown round here because they know we have limited anti-air, and so this guy will just probably fly straight through. Boom. Does he manage to get away? Oh, we're firing at him from back here. So actually, I think we might have got him. Which is lucky. We put in another bomber. You have to take the long way round to land those sort of hits, but it does help. So they've got their Fusiliers to the forest now, and so our infantry is actually badly outnumbered. But their offensive is slowing. So they begin their attack down here, and I think we managed to take some of them out on the way in. Yeah. So they're sending in here with some, I think these are light tanks. Oh no, they're medium tanks. And some chieftains as well, which are another medium tank. But we slow them down with the helicopters' rocket pods. Buying us a little bit of time. Australia takes out some of the Cobras. So at the moment it's going okay, and I managed to get a T-64 forward as well. So I feel like we can probably hold them off. Problem is though, the napalm weapon has very limited impact on these chieftains. It can only stun them. And they're able to fly a lot of planes over because I mistakenly allow us to start running out of ammo. It takes me a long time to resupply these 2 bucks which are covering the area, and that allows them to keep flying planes in and do a lot of damage to me. Meanwhile they come in towards the town with all their tanks. Of course this does allow me to rack up quite a lot of points holding off this little offensive. But the problem with the Spetsnaz napalm weapon never really goes away. The VDV actually have a proper weapon for fighting tanks, so I think they do manage to destroy some. So they have the actual vampire. Yeah, there goes one. There's another one. They are getting killed though. So yeah, in comes Delta Force. The Spetsnaz are actually good against Delta Force because napalm weapons are good against infantry. So the enemy are continuing their attack, but we have stalled it here as well. So we stalled it here, and you know, we're keeping the points difference quite close even though they've managed to really badly outflank us. Now their points income is a lot higher than ours. I'm quite pleased with this particular game just because my losses were pretty low. I think I lost 1,700 in the end, so it's not too bad. Reasonably cost efficient to defend a point like this with infantry, of course, which is probably why it went so well. So we're holding off these medium tanks pretty easily. But now they're moving a lot of anti-air because they saw all those helicopters and the planes which we keep sending in. So I managed to get a T-80 of my own in. It's pretty unusual for me to bring in the high points tanks, but it was necessary. Just because the chieftains are gradually making their way through and I realise the Spetsnaz aren't having a big enough impact on them. So now with the Spetsnaz stunning them, then our tanks can take them out a lot more easily. They managed to fly the planes over and I still haven't resupplied my anti-air, which is a serious problem. Yeah, that guy. Problematic. But yeah, eventually I think we managed to take him out. Let's see. That's my Strela taking some pot shots. He's just basically antagonising us. But he flies a bit too deep here, I think. And yeah, gets taken out. Mobilised Panda gets him. Now they're running very short on the units to break through with. I mean, these anti-air things really you don't want them on the front line. They bring on more and more guys. This time they got some more light tanks, but these ones have ATGM and lots of more anti-air and more tanks. They've given up, I think, trying to push through here at the top, so this is their main attack. As you can see, our artillery is starting to have some serious impact. And I think I get artillery pretty soon as well to add to this. Oh, there goes one of our bombers. That's me aborting behind. But yeah, we hold off this attack as well, I think. Mainly because this attack's a bit disjointed. Because they send in the anti-air first to try and take out the helicopters. They're left very exposed to the additional forces of tanks that should be brought in. Both my tanks and Martyr's tanks as well. Which help a lot. This is another quite big push. But we're in a good position to hold it off. With our own tank forces. At this point they're starting to pull in a lot of aircraft and because we haven't got quite enough supply for our anti-air weaponry, they do a lot of damage. But I actually have started resupplying the bucks now, so that's a plus. Oh, and I managed to pick off one with my fighter. Finally had a decent reaction time. So that lone Spetsnaz is finally killed, but they're stalled again, this time by someone else's rocket pod helicopters. It's all helpful, buying us time, gradually our reinforcements come. I was going to get more infantry into the town, this time with ATGM, well with RPGs, but ran out of time, had to send them in on foot. I had to turn these two supply trucks around as well. There, that attack's been stalled. Of course, they're calling on even more, which is pretty crazy. There we go, we wiped out that force. Now I can get the VDV into the town. We're near the end of the game. This guy's managed to get, I think these are some additional ships. They aren't exactly the same ones as before, I think. And he likes to be in this position, but he doesn't seem to do much with it, that I remember. Got lots of supply ones coming in. These guys all come in, take on these Sheridans quite easily. We're easily repelling the few attacks in the middle which are left. We do suffer some flames, some napalm attacks, but because it's mostly tanks there. And now with the anti-air we supplied, their planes are much less effective. Though we keep running out of ammo very quickly because the empty PLBs don't actually carry very much supply. And obviously you have to try and move them to keep them out of the way of artillery attacks. So meanwhile this force is gradually being taken out by the anti-ship planes. Now there's just this Udaloy left, which is probably going to be taken out. Is that an enemy anti-ship one coming in? Yeah, it is. Oh, that was close. It's pretty badly damaged. It's taking artillery fire. He's not retreating though, which is brave stuff. Ah. Seed planes, that's a strange choice. I think he took an artillery hit there. So I think that's another 500 points. But he is taking out their supply things as they come on. So he might well make it up. These are anti-superiority fighters, so won't take it out. It's legging it. But Pegasus comes on. There he goes. So that was a pretty serious hit, especially since he's only got supply boats left over here. And then he quits, yeah. So that's a fairly standard Wargame Red Dragon response to reversal like that. And then he just leaves. And leaves these to get taken out. I think I put down some warning marker for whoever's taken them over. But I don't know if they actually get them out in time. I'm a bit focused on trying to keep these positions supplied at the moment, as you can see with the moving back and forth of units. Yeah, I'm saying like get them back. Because they're just going to get captured otherwise. But I think they don't escape. However, like the point score difference has got even narrower from all this fighting. And we're actually getting pretty close. Another tank force coming through the forest. We can't see this going on. I don't know how much they have here, but at this point we can see their units in the distance. Can't tell what units they are, but all of us are artillerying them a bit. So I think I've got a mister. I'm firing from over here somewhere. Yeah. I'm moving it, so you fire, then you move, then you fire. And that gradually just attritions them, keeps them a bit weak. Gets us a fair bit of points. Any attempt to send aircraft in does tend to result in the aircraft being destroyed, but it does get some kills. So we managed to move our VDV forward in the town and some reinforcements have arrived. So it's all looking quite good. And time is running out. So they keep calling in these guys, but because they're afraid to push through the town now, they're just standing there and they're just being destroyed by artillery. Especially since we can see them with the VDV. Eventually they decide to move them back, I think. We'll just wait and see. So the interesting thing about the game is that, you know, just because you've lost huge swathes of territory in a points game is no reason to quit. Because you can just fall back to another more defensive position and hope the enemy overextend themselves like they did attacking these two towns, and that can allow us to drag back loads of points. It also highlights the vulnerability of ships, in that in points games, in my experience, they're generally just a liability. I mean, they can be used to attack quite well like this, but if you end up with your ships on their own, without sort of overwhelming numbers, then they'll just be picked off by the anti-ship planes for thousands of points, which is really quite bad. In the meantime, they scout us out with supply helicopters, which is a pretty standard strategy. So they're coming over here, seeing where our forward operating base and so on are maybe trying to pick off our commands. Of course, I try and take one out with my superiority fighter, that fails. But I have got these guys forward, some Strello infantry, who start picking off a few of them. Yeah, our ally comes in as well. This guy's just being a huge pain, but eventually just gets taken out. And then they decide to pull back this force, which was getting artilleried, and a lot of dead vehicles are over here, scattered around from continuous artillery fire. But they're going for artillery themselves to try and win. But now we've actually got the lead from all that continuous fighting. They try and scout us out a bit, but I think these Kiowas get shot down. I got two of them. One got away, but not bad. So we managed to pull back ahead in the game late on, having been behind most of the match. Our ship's definitely a huge loss to the team points-wise. But in terms of the land battle, we pretty much won, and we probably would have done better if we managed to put a command in Foxtrot. But nevertheless, it was a pretty good game. I don't know why Mobilised Panda felt the need to quit just because he lost a ship. He was the most experienced member of our team, I reckon, because he has been playing some ranked games. I think they make a final push, rather foolishly, with ATGM. It's a strange choice against the infantry in the town since they aren't able to fire at them. And they just get massacred coming in. Especially when the artillery starts coming down. There you go, loads of them destroyed. They managed to storm the town in the end. But lose quite a lot of points worth of units. Their planes come in again as well, I think. No, not yet. We lose quite a lot of our planes though in this engagement, I think. Yeah, a lot of them go down. But the town's held for now. There you go. In the end, we actually managed to win maybe by 2,000 points, which is pretty good. And yeah, the score, not bad. 2,000 points worth lost, but I was pretty happy with that. It doesn't list what units killed what, unfortunately, but yeah, it was quite good. This is my Soviet deck, so it's got some pretty good units, but the availability is a bit worse than the decks I normally play with. So Mobilised Panda's done quite well. He's already getting his ships out. The other guy hasn't sent any ships, so I think he should be able to take the position. At Alpha, it's a points game, and currently we're losing because we lost a plane, that bomber which went in earlier. But the forces I've sent are okay, so I've sent some anti-air, ATGM, and a command. Because these sectors are unlikely to just be attacked directly, generally you have a bit of time to secure them. I've also put a recon here. And I have got my own fighter craft, which I'm trying to use effectively, but yeah. I shouldn't have sent that in. What I was trying to do, I saw that attack and assumed that it was very important that I take down this helicopter for some reason. But in the end, it's pointless. So now we're down a few more points, but fighting elsewhere has yielded us some points in itself. So this guy does a little bit of an attack using those infamous anti-air infantry vehicles which the North Koreans have. I didn't get to see this when I played, so it's interesting to see. A lot of infantry. Should be able to overwhelm the position. And this sector's fairly secure. I think I added... what did I send? Oh, my stuff hasn't arrived yet, I think. I'm going to go for Foxtrot. All well and good. Can fast forward a little bit. What I've got is I've just got some infantry forces hidden amongst all this. which are going to head to position infantry here and here. Infantry command and just general infantry. I think that's my fighter craft, which is probably going to get shot down. Oh no, I managed not to send it in too early. So as you can see, it's the normal. We can slow it down a bit. It's a normal helicopter rush towards the centre. And it looks like we're going to win it this time, which is good. But they're going to take Echo. Yeah, so you see, Mayata's got his guys forwards. And Heisenberg's got helicopters here, but hasn't captured the sector yet. My guys are just about to get to Bravo, and they've got into Lima. I just put some guys in the town. We'll soon see what happens with that. So as you can see, what happens with the islands is normally people put their recon units or infantry onto the island and use that as a sort of staging ground to spot the enemy fleet and position some anti-air weapons. So they've both got... Well, this guy's putting down recon, he's got some Spetsnaz. And a similar event should be... Actually, this helicopter doesn't have anyone on it. But it might have been going to happen. One thing which a lot of people do is actually not to put that much in the sectors they capture, like this guy's just put a command. And you can do that if you're confident of your offense. I tend to like to go for slightly more conservative groupings with at least a few guys protecting my commands. See, I might be in trouble. I think this Eurofighter Typhoon takes out my fighter craft here. So here we are, back for a bit of Wargame Red Dragon. I thought I'd do something a bit different and watch a replay of a recent game I was playing. So as you can see, we're just getting started. It's the deployment phase. I'm playing with Pact. I mean, there's my forward operating base. And I've said I'm going to take Lima and Bravo. My allies, the mobilised Panda is going for the C sector on this side. And currently I think there's a debate about to rage in the team over who's going to take this flank. It's a bit of an interesting game. Things go back and forth a bit, and it also highlights the discussion about people leaving and things like that. So yeah, Heisenberg says he's going to go there in the end, after much discussion. Here we go. So they're going to go along here. He's going